One afternoon in France in the 1940s, a man named Knock is desperately trying to escape from debt collectors. When they finally catch him, they beat him and warn him that if he cannot pay everything by the next day, he will be killed. Knock has no idea how he is supposed to repay his debts. He can barely afford food, and he survives by scamming people around the harbor. By pure chance, Knock notices a job posting looking for a doctor on a cruise ship. Even though he knows absolutely nothing about medicine, he takes the risk and applies. The ship's captain is suspicious at first, especially judging from Knock's appearance. But in those days, finding a doctor is incredibly difficult, so the captain reluctantly hires him. Just as the ship begins to depart, a debt collector named Lansky and his partner arrive and try to chase after it, but they are too late. Knock escapes and leaves Lansky behind. He has no idea what lies ahead, but there is no turning back now. This is Knock. Once aboard, Knock finally feels free. That feeling does not last long. The crew suddenly brings in a sick passenger. The man looks weak and pale, and Knock panics. Luckily, the patient recognizes his own condition. He explains that he has typhus and has suffered from it before. He even tells Knock how it should be treated. Knock quickly writes everything down and follows the instructions exactly. Later that day, after successfully helping his first patient, Knock walks around the ship to get some fresh air. While wandering, he notices a woman whose face is bright red from sunburn. She casually explains that it will heal on its own in a week or two. That moment sparks a memory. Knock remembers reading a book long ago about making a skin cream that reduces redness. That night, after gathering the necessary ingredients, Knock mixes the cream himself. The next morning, he gives it to the same woman and confidently explains that if she uses it regularly, the redness will fade much faster than waiting 2 weeks. 2 days later, while Knock is sleeping, the woman returns and shows him her face. The redness is already improving. The cream actually works. She is so happy that she offers to pay any amount if Knock is willing to make more of it. Hearing this, Knock is overwhelmed with joy. For the first time in his life, he earns money honestly. At the same time, his first patient is also steadily recovering. Knock visits the ship's captain and sincerely thanks him for giving him a second chance at life. 5 years pass. Knock is now a real doctor. One afternoon, he is traveling by train to a remote village on the edge of the city. He has been assigned to replace a doctor named Dr. Parpelade, who recently quit. When Knock arrives at the clinic, he meets the married couple who take care of the place. They explain that Dr. Parpelade left because very few villagers ever came for treatment. Even though most people in the village live modern lives, they still do not fully trust medical care. After hearing this, Knock calmly says that he knows exactly how to make the clinic busy again. The next day, after getting the clinic ready, Knock pays the postman to spread the word around the village. He announces that when the clinic opens on Tuesday, everyone can receive treatment for free. After that, Knock visits the nearest pharmacy. Once the owner, Musquet, realizes Knock is a doctor, he starts sharing his worries. With or without a doctor in town, his pharmacy is always empty. And if this keeps going, he might go bankrupt. Knock casually suggests a partnership. His plan is simple. Free treatment will attract villagers to the clinic, even those who feel perfectly fine. From there, Knock can slowly educate them about healthy living and encourage them to buy vitamins from the pharmacy. In the end, everyone benefits. Knock gains patients, Musquet gets customers, and the villagers become healthier. Musquet quickly agrees. When Knock returns to the clinic, the postman reports that the message has been delivered. In the middle of their conversation, a beautiful young woman named Adele arrives to hand a letter to the postman. Knock is instantly captivated. In his entire life, he has never seen anyone as beautiful as her. After Adele leaves, the postman explains that she grew up poor and alone. Now she works for a harsh, elderly woman who owns a farm, la cook, just to survive. Hearing this story deeply moves Knock, reminding him of his own difficult past. News about Dr. Knock soon spreads throughout the village. People keep talking about him at the bar. However, one person is clearly unhappy. A priest named Lupus openly disapproves. He claims Knock is disrespectful, saying that as a newcomer, he should have introduced himself to both the priest and the mayor before opening the clinic. Tuesday finally arrives. Villagers flood into Knock's clinic, including Lecoq. She openly admits that she is not sick at all and only came because everything is free. Even though he feels annoyed, Knock remains professional and checks her health anyway. After the examination, he explains that at her age, she is more vulnerable to conditions like gout, lung inflammation, and other serious illnesses. To stay healthy, she needs proper rest and regular vitamins. Knock promises to visit her home every week to monitor her condition. He knows his patients would rather avoid traveling back and forth to the clinic, so he decides it is better for him to come to them. Not long after, Lupus arrives at the clinic. Just as he is about to get angry, Knock immediately examines him and gives him a vitamin prescription. Since the treatment is free, the priest has nothing more to say. Starting the next day, Knock begins visiting villagers one by one for routine checkups. A few days later, people at the bar cannot stop praising Knock's excellent service. Lupus grows even more irritated. Ever since Knock arrived, no one in the village seems to admire him anymore. That evening, Knock, Lupus, and several villagers attended dinner at the mayor's house. Once again, everyone showers Knock with compliments, including a wealthy widow named Pons. After introducing himself, Knock invites her to visit his clinic. He hopes that once she experiences his care firsthand, she will recommend him to her other wealthy friends. Already interested, Pons gladly accepts. The following day, when Pons comes to the clinic, Knock does what he always does and encourages her to adopt a healthier lifestyle. Fortunately, she understands and genuinely wants to stay healthy. She then asks Knock to visit her home 5 times a week for regular checkups, offering him an incredibly generous payment. That afternoon, during a routine checkup at Lecoq's house, Knock runs into Adele again. She explains that ever since Lecoq started visiting the clinic, her attitude has completely changed. She has become more demanding and constantly asks for help. Because Knock told Lecoq to get plenty of rest, Adele now has to do everything for her, even something as simple as fetching a glass of water. Hearing this, Knock playfully teases Adele by suddenly telling her to do some exercise on the spot. As days go by, something unexpected happens. One afternoon, just after Knock finishes work, a woman named Elizabeth suddenly enters the clinic and openly tries to seduce him. Unfortunately for her, Knock's heart already belongs to Adele. He politely turns Elizabeth away. That night, the entire village gathers for a party at Ponce's house, including Knock. In the middle of the celebration, Knock notices Adele arguing with a man. The argument escalates until Adele slaps him and storms off. Knock quickly follows and escorts her home. Along the way, Adele explains that the man was her boyfriend, but they have just broken up after she discovered he was cheating. Seeing the woman he cares about feeling heartbroken, Knock does his best to comfort her. Back at the party, Lupus heads into the kitchen and catches a homeless man stealing food. To his shock, the thief turns out to be Lansky, the same debt collector who chased Knock years earlier. Even after being caught, Lansky shows no fear. Instead, he threatens Lupus, warning that if he is reported, he will break Lupus's neck. Terrified, Lupus stays silent. The next morning, Adele rushes into the clinic in a panic and asks Knock to follow her. She leads him to a hill where a dog has been badly injured and unable to stand for 4 days. Thankfully, the injury turns out to be only a sprain. After Knock treats it, the dog immediately runs off at full speed. With the weather being pleasant, the two of them sit together for a while before heading back, sharing stories about their lives and quietly enjoying the view. Later that day, Knock visits the pharmacy and invites Musquet to step outside. Without realizing it, Knock is being watched from afar by Lansky. Knock and Musquet then head to a hotel where they approach the owner with a proposal. Knock plans to transform the hotel into a full medical facility, complete with treatment rooms, a rehabilitation center, lodging for patients' families, and a cafeteria. Since the entire village already trusts Knock, including the hotel owner, the proposal is accepted without hesitation. The next day on the road, Lansky suddenly confronts Knock. Seeing him standing there, Knock freezes in fear. Lansky explains that since his boss died, he has been wandering from village to village, living as a drifter. He never expected that Knock, once poor and known for scamming people, would now be living such a successful life. Knock immediately understands what is happening. Lansky is trying to intimidate him. Knock pays off all his old debts in full and tells Lansky to leave the village and keep his past a secret. Instead, Lansky demands 3 times the amount as hush money. He promises to disappear if he is paid. With no real way to fight back, Knock agrees and asks for time to gather the money. That afternoon, while checking on Lecoq's health, Knock hears troubling news. Lecoq explains that she has been doing all the housework alone since morning because Adele is sick. Concerned, Knock immediately goes to see Adele. When he finds her, she looks extremely weak. Knock urges her to come to the clinic for a proper examination. Before leaving, he gives her a small gift. He had planned to take her out that day and give it to her afterward, but since she is unwell, he decides to give it to her right then. Adele smiles, clearly touched. A few days after the examination, Knock is shocked by Adele's test results. He quickly contacts a lung specialist for advice. After reviewing the findings, the specialist confirms that Adele is suffering from tuberculosis. Knock desperately asks his colleague to treat her until she fully recovers. No matter the cost, he is willing to pay as long as Adele can be saved. The next day, after packing everything, Knock escorts Adele to the train station. Before they part, he kisses her and reassures himself that she will recover. From a distance, Elizabeth happens to witness this moment. Still bitter over being rejected, she decides to take her resentment to the priest. At the church, Elizabeth tells Lupus what she claims to have seen. She goes even further by falsely accusing Knock of attempting to assault her during a medical examination. Hearing this, Lupus is pleased. He now believes he has the perfect weapon to destroy Knock. Meanwhile, after sending Adele off, Knock heads to the hotel that is planned to become a hospital. The hotel owner informs him that a man named Lansky has been renting a room there since yesterday. Shocked, Knock immediately goes to confront him. Inside the room, Knock hands over the hush money they agreed on and orders Lansky to leave the village at once. Lansky refuses and demands even more money. Trying to stay calm despite his anger, Knock tells him that the rest of the payment will be given at the clinic that night. That evening, as agreed, Lansky comes to the clinic. Before handing over the money, Knock casually offers him a drink. Once Lansky drinks it, Knock's plan works perfectly. The drink has been mixed with a powerful laxative. At the same time, Lupus visits the mayor's office to report Elizabeth's story. He insists that Adele must have left because she was pregnant out of wedlock, and he repeats the accusation of harassment against Knock. Instead of reacting angrily, the mayor calmly explains that Adele went to a larger clinic in the city for treatment. As for Elizabeth's story, it is likely another lie, especially since she has spread false accusations before, even about the mayor himself. Hearing this response, Lupus is left speechless. The next day on the street, while Knock is chatting with Ponce, the postman arrives with urgent news. He explains that Lansky has been suffering from severe stomach pain all day and cannot stop running to the bathroom, to the point where the hotel toilet is completely clogged. Pretending to be shocked, Knock quickly says he will go and treat his friend right away. Later that day, when Knock arrives, Lansky is still doubled over in pain and desperately begs for help. Holding back his laughter, Knock makes it clear that he can cure him easily, but only if Lansky signs a written promise to never interfere again. If he ever causes trouble in the future, Knock will report him to the police. With no other option, Lansky finally gives in, signs the document, and immediately rushes back to the bathroom. After that incident, Lansky leaves the village for good. The following day, Knock visits Adele. In her room, he reassures her that she is being treated by the best doctor in the country and that she will surely recover. Having grown up alone her entire life, Adele is deeply moved by Knock's care. She gently asks that if she were to pass away one day, Knock should not grieve for her. A kind man like him, she believes, deserves to live a happy life. Hearing this, Knock lowers his head, struggling to hold back his tears. That night, Knock reads a letter Adele gave him earlier. In it, she writes about how much she loves the color blue. Wanting to surprise her, Knock asks the hotel owner, whose building has now become a hospital, to repaint it entirely in blue so that when Adele returns, it will be the most beautiful surprise of her life. In the middle of this conversation, the mayor arrives with devastating news. Adele has passed away. The words hit Knock like a crushing blow. The next afternoon at the church, the entire village gathers for Adele's funeral. As the priest, Lupus leads the service and speaks about all the kindness Adele showed during her life. But even in this moment of mourning, Lupus seizes the chance to attack Knock. He claims that Adele was pitiful because in her final days she had been deceived by a fraud like Knock. It is revealed that before leaving, Lansky exposed Knock's troubled past, including his debts and scams. Lupus even declares that a swindler has no right to be a doctor. Completely exhausted, Knock finally lays everything bare in front of the villagers. He admits that he was once a con artist, a poor man with debts everywhere. But he explains that he did it only to survive. His money was never spent on gambling, drinking, or excess. Over the years, he worked relentlessly and studied tirelessly to become a doctor who could truly help others. He then says that if the villagers cannot accept being treated by someone with such a disgraceful past, he will leave. After releasing all of his emotions, Knock goes straight to the clinic and begins packing his belongings. Back at the church, the villagers are deeply moved. They start sharing stories about the changes they have experienced since Dr. Knock arrived. Some have quit smoking, others have recovered from toothaches. Many feel healthier and stronger, along with countless other improvements. In the middle of these conversations, a young boy suddenly runs in, shouting that he just saw Dr. Knock packing his things. Without hesitation, the villagers rush out together, leaving Lupus standing alone. Out on the road, as Knock prepares to leave, he is stunned to see the entire village surrounding him. At first, he is terrified, expecting to be attacked. He assumes they have turned against him because of Lupus. Instead, the villagers beg him to stay. Since his arrival, their lives have become healthier and better. They admit that his past may have been flawed, but his presence now is invaluable. They understand that Lupus acted out of jealousy, something very human, and they promise to help him open his heart and accept Knock as well. Hearing the villagers' words, Knock is overwhelmed with emotion. With gratitude and relief, he decides to stay and continue healing the village. So the moral of the story is that a man can spend his whole life trying to become better, only to lose the one person who believed in him before he ever gets the chance to share that happiness.